I'm Giselle Pyers here with
Michael Shar, and welcome to Code Blue News.
Although it's a new year, don't worry, it's not a new us. We're back with the same show you know and love. But to kick us off, we'll take a peek inside of Town Hall to meet a teacher who's also on City Council, changing lives both in and outside the classroom.
Next, I'll explore whether or not New Year's resolutions are truly feasible or just a phase.
After a quick break, we'll bring it over to the robotics lab to introduce a member who's been driving change beyond the field.
And to close out our show, let's pass it to Eliza with Holbrook's 4th all-time female 1,000-point scorer who's bringing a quiet but new passion to the game.
I don't know about you, Michael, but this year's got me pumped for some new stories.
I couldn't agree more. But for our audience at home, don't go anywhere as we're about to dive into these right here on
Code Blue News. As the new year is underway, some familiar faces are stepping into fresh roles of leadership. And first up, we'll introduce how one local teacher is extending their commitment to service beyond the classroom and into City Hall. He's aiming to shape the future of his community in the year ahead, but has learned valuable lessons along the way from his teaching career.
In his classroom, Mr. Jacobs has long made an impact as an educator, teaching students to think critically, find their voice, and believe in themselves. For him, education has always been about empowerment and transparency. Guided by those same values, his service now reaches beyond the classroom in his new role on Quincy's City Council.
I became a teacher because when growing up, honestly, I lived right across the street from my elementary school, and I was very close with the school community, and I knew growing up I wanted to work in a school community to make my community at large, the community that I grew up in a better place. And I really thought that schools, and I still do think that schools play a big part in building your local community. You have to take a lot of different classes, to become a teacher. A lot of them are education classes, and one of the classes was political reasons for being a teacher. Just the virtue of working in government as a teacher, you are political, just in that sense. But I was always involved in politics. From a young age, my dad was involved in politics, helping people run for office. So I think I always knew that someday I would run for office, but didn't know exactly what office I would run for. But I decided to run for City Council in Quincy.
State your name.
One thing I try to do as a teacher is I try to always have information out there available. Just like in the way that I run my class. I put information on Aspen. I try to reach out to parents. I try to reach out to students. I check in with them, and I think that in a lot of ways, that's what a job of a city councilor, I guess, in Quincy anyway, is, as a teacher, I want to empower my students. I want them to feel like they're knowledgeable, that they're going to be successful, and they are going to be successful. But again, you have to have access to that knowledge. And as a city councilor, I feel like it's my job to, again, synthesize that information that's given to me and then make sure that the citizens that I represent, I'm able to translate that information to them so that way they can feel empowered and feel like, that they're making best decisions based off of the information that I'm receiving.
From the classroom to City Hall, Mr. Jacobs continues to serve the community with the heart of a teacher. By listening, educating, and empowering others, he proves that leadership rooted in learning can create lasting change for the people he serves. For CBN, this has been Salma Ziad reporting.
Thanks, Salma. Even January truly brings a new sense of motivation and a fresh start in our lives. But is it always New Year, New Me? Up next, I'll discuss how sticking to a New Year's resolution isn't as easy as it sounds, and how to reframe a goal so it's more achievable. A new year can be seen as a turning point for many people, kind of like opening a new door. We love to set new goals and push ourselves, but this seems to be a flawed system. While having goals isn't an issue, completing such a difficult task can be very discouraging, especially once the novelty of self-purpose is worn off. But first, to understand this, it's important to understand what a New Year's resolution is. By definition, it's a personal promise or intention to make a positive change, start a new habit, or give up a bad one in the new calendar year. The main problem people make while creating their goals is starting with a broad idea, such as losing weight or saving money. But there's little to no thought about how to attain this goal. Around 45% of people in America create their own resolution, and only about 10 to 20% of those are able to achieve it. In my opinion, the best way to achieve these resolutions is with a proper structure and steps, not just a general idea. By having steps, your motivation level doesn't have a chance to drop because you have a closer goal in mind rather than an end goal. Statistically, 23% of people quit in their first week and 43% by the end of January. Now, that wouldn't be a bad statistic if we were talking about quitting a bad habit, but quitting your resolution so fast makes it almost pointless. Reaching the finish line is largely dependent on your willpower and the extent of your desire, so don't rush it. Plan it.
Now that's some food for thought. Thanks, Michael. Moving forward, though, we'll take a quick break before continuing with our theme of new beginnings. Because next up, I'll introduce a robotics driver who's turning the tables on what it means to be a woman in STEM.
Welcome to BioVar. Come on in. What can I get for you today? I applied to be driver as a joke, but now I'm actually the first female driver our team's ever had.
That joke application wasn't out of character though, as senior Emily Ip's path in robotics started the same way it always has, by stepping in and seeing what would happen.
I originally joined robotics during my freshman year because I really liked working with my hands and also solving problems. And especially with our team being so historically small, we needed all the help we can get, and especially building up new technically skilled people. In 2024, when our driver of 5 years had graduated, they needed someone new to step up as driver though. And we have this running gag that all of our drivers have been Asian. So I applied to be the driver just as a joke to keep the streak going, but to my surprise, I actually got it.
The shock of getting the role didn't last long. Once she was behind the controls, Emily began to realize her position carried more weight than she could ever imagine.
I only started to understand what it actually meant to be our first female driver when I was on the field for the first time driving, and I actually looked out to all the other driver stations and I saw it was all guys for operators, drivers, drive coaches, and it felt super intimidating, especially with the hundreds of people watching in that arena. When the match starts, I don't feel like I'm just, the quote unquote girl driver. I'm just the driver for Team 5494. And when I'm thinking about women being underrepresented in STEM fields, I don't want this occurrence to feel unusual. I want it to feel more normalized.
While she hopes one day women in STEM will become a norm, Emily admits that accepting responsibility wasn't easy.
I still have trouble coming to terms with being our first female driver, especially when I'm not the most typically feminine person, but I've learned to accept that this is less about appearances and more about having the mindset to actually normalize women in STEM. And as I move on to bigger things in the future soon, I don't want being the first female driver to be the most interesting thing about me. I really want it to get to a point where it doesn't stand out at all. And because at the end of the day, I'm an engineer who just so happens to be a girl, not the other way around.
Thanks, Giselle. That milestone is just one example of how a small beginning can turn into something way more. We'll continue this momentum with another story of commitment, where one athlete recently reached the 1,000-point mark in her basketball career. Reporter Eliza Rund explores how this marks the beginning of a new chapter.
Shia Dingle making the start with a chance to make history, the join of Bulldogs 1,000-point scorers.
A leader both on and off the court, Dingle consistently pushed her team to success, leaving a significant impact on the school.
So I started playing basketball when I was 6 years old. I used to hate it at first. It was my least favorite sport, but I have 3 older siblings who all play basketball, so I think they really inspired me to start it, and since I started, I haven't stopped since.
Transferring to Holbrook during her sophomore year only fueled her growth, helping her create tight-knit relationships in the school and with her team.
We were friends because of history class, but then once we started talking about basketball, and then we figured out oh my God, we played each other, that's when we knew we were best friends.
So in the beginning of the game, I was very anxious, nervous, but I had to tell myself just to stay calm and keep myself relaxed, because if not, then I knew I wouldn't get to where I needed to be.
Dingle took the brunt of that exchange.
She couldn't breathe. She was telling me she couldn't breathe. I was like, Ashaya, just breathe. Like, you're fine. Like, you're gonna be fine.
At first when I fell, I couldn't breathe. It hurt really bad, but there was a bunch of people there supporting me and there for me, so I had to get up and keep going.
Among her close connections, her coach, Courtney Foley, Holbrook's first female 1,000-point scorer.
When I first met Ashaya, you could tell that she had the natural leader instinct in her. She's grown a lot within this year. She's able to control her emotions and also be a leader to those younger girls.
I feel like she relates to me a lot because she knows what it feels like to score 1,000 or to have that type of pressure on you. So having her by my side just guiding me to the right steps meant a lot.
After countless years of dedication and relentless challenges, her historic moment finally came.
Able to get around Calderia. Pass back to Dingle. Under 30 seconds to go in the quarter. Dingle in the corner for three. It's good! For 1,000! Ashaya Dingle makes history!
Good shot by Dingle. What a moment!
The moment I hit 1,000, I wasn't nervous at all. I was more happy than nervous and just proud of me and my family for helping me throughout this journey. It felt like there was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders as well.
I honestly felt a huge sense of relief. I know it was a lot of pressure on her. I was so proud of her that she was able to get it. If you would ask me 10 years ago how many more names would be on the banner after mine, I wouldn't have guessed. So honestly, it's a super proud moment to see how many young athletes are coming through Holbrook, staying in Holbrook, and then reaching these milestones and making it more achievable.
When Foley first hit her 1,000, it was nice. I feel like it didn't pressure me. If anything, I wanted to achieve it more, being that she's also a female athlete. I just wanted to be the next. It was just a way to remember my name.
I'm so proud that Ashaya is making Holbrook history, not only because that's my best friend, but it also gives that girls can do things that people don't think. Girls, I feel like girls sports, they're looked down upon, but to show this, not only am I proud of her for making history for Holbrook, but I'm proud of her for making history as a girl in Holbrook.
It's just another record that girls will have their eyes on as they come through the school and as they play in the basketball program. It's definitely leaving a mark as to who Ashaya Dingle was and what she meant to our program.
Ashaya's moment was more than a number on a banner. Her story and connections hold a heavy significance. Her journey empowering future generations. Her milestone is not the end of her achievements, it's really just the beginning of what's to come. This has been Eliza Runn reporting for CBN.
I did it.
It's always inspiring to see hard work pay off, especially to start the new year.
You bet. Moments like these really set the tone for what's ahead.
Whether it's on the court or in the classroom or beyond, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm definitely ready.
That's the spirit. For our audience, though, we're looking forward to sharing even more moments like these as the year goes on.
We thank you so much for tuning in, and be on the lookout for the next edition. For Cold Blue News, this has been Giselle Pyrus.
And Michael Shar.
And we'll see you next time.